Oh, watch out. We're going to be throwing punches all day long like we're Juwan Howard. It's going to be a great show. Welcome to the Breakaway podcast. I'm John Root. And, of course, we got, the Walmart crew neck sweater.
Oh, you mean my exclusive Walmart crew neck?
Wow,
Yes.
Brian Farnsworth. Nothing but swag from this guy. I don't know if you saw on our Instagram at all, and if you're not following that, at TPUSA Breakaway, man, during the All-Star weekend, one of the Cavs players was getting absolutely trashed on for his fit. We're going to get into that. We're going to tell you all about how we need to make All-Star games and weekends better.
Yeah.
We're going to get into a little bit of NFL. There's some news about, Brian Flores. There's a little bit of moves happening. And, of course, Aaron Rodgers in the news. A lot of people thought he had a little cryptic IG post, but he explained that on the Pat McAfee show. We'll explain that for you guys as well. And then we're going to talk a little college b-ball because that's what we're doing now. So we started to move the podcast here to Wednesday instead of Monday mornings, changing it up, especially what's going on in the NBA, college basketball, all that good stuff, that and so much more. Why don't we just jump right into Aaron Rodgers?
Dive on in.
That's the thing right now. So he came out with his IG post a couple days ago, and you can tell this guy is contemplating a lot.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he just finished a 12-day cleanse.
Wait, what type of cleanse?
I
Was it a
don't
juice
know.
cleanse? Was it lemon juice and cayenne pepper? Like, what was this guy doing?
I think that's what Pat McAfee was trying to say yesterday. He's like, yo, what were you doing? Like, you just pressing some juice or what was going on? But it was interesting to see Aaron Rodgers like that yesterday. And because he had this post that ended up saying it was all about gratitude.
Yeah.
And he ended up explaining himself because obviously you got the Kyler Murray situation. So you got someone that is, deleting stuff from their Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinals are doing similar stuff. There's drama all across the NFL. So obviously the media is going to take this and run with it. So he said, here's some Monday night gratitude for some of the incredibly special people in my life with some pictures from the last beautiful year. And the first person that he mentioned was Shailene Woodley. So, I guess the rumors are right now that they're done.
Yeah, that's what they've been saying is that supposedly the engagement has been called off, which is, obviously a bummer for him. And, obviously if that's what's going to be best for them, it's best for them. But, you never want to see somebody have to go through tough times like that.
Yeah, and then the thing was, too, the Pat McAfee show, did you see how many people tuned in live to that yesterday?
30,000 people.
Live viewers. I mean, I don't know what it's at right now. We'd almost need to check that. But to have that many people tuning in, and, I think he explained himself a little bit more. He said so this is what he had to say about, is this cryptic, what he had to say? Because he had photos of Shailene Woodley. He had some of his teammates and, other influential people in his life. Like I know Randall Cobb was in there.
Well, so did you see one of the most cryptic things that people were diving into? The very last picture on that Instagram carousel, it was Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb, standing there. And that was during the national anthem. Basically, every time that they did the national anthem, Rodgers would stand in between both of them.
Yeah.
That was the one game he was gone for because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And so that's where it's like a lot of people dive into the cryptic stuff where it's like, okay, he ended it with a picture, with like the only picture you will find of them standing there for the national anthem without him. And that's where it's like everybody, really dives in deep on it. And it's just crazy.
Because he ended up saying, like, there's nothing cryptic about gratitude. I was just going through some pictures from last year and felt an intense amount of gratitude for the life that I have and the lessons I've learned. Dude, it sounds like this guy just went on an absolute trip to the metaverse. Like, you could even hear Pat McAfee yesterday. He was saying, I didn't really expect this conversation to go this way. And, he started apologizing for some people that took like shrapnel for the COVID situation that were in the line of fire for all that.
Big time going to be his fiance Woodley.
That's where I think he's at. Yeah. I think he is I don't know what's going to end up happening with them, but I think love does that to you sometimes. That's what he was explaining. And you can tell Aaron Rodgers is human.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he doesn't look human on the football field majority of the time. In the playoffs, he kind of does. But with situations like this, it's like he was talking about love. He was talking about acceptance and worth and value. And obviously, a lot of people had questions about retirement. Like, well, what are you going to do? Is this cryptic here? Does this mean that you're potentially leaving the Packers? And then he had a lot to say about Matt LaFleur.
Mm-hmm.
And what he had to say to him is, I told Matt LaFleur in my speech, 3 years together, 2 MVPs. It's no coincidences. I also told Shea, I've been with you for 2 seasons and won 2 MVPs. That's no coincidence either. I think he's just heartbroken, man. That's what it is. I think a lot of us have been there before, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen. But man, love will do that to you. It'll make you just say some things that are maybe a little too emotional. But that's why I think the viewership just went to the moon.
You don't have to tell me. I've been following the Kanye Kim stuff, dude. Like,
Nah, we're talking about real love.
Real love. When
Real
you're
love.
trying to get your girl back, you'll say what you got to say. And so, no, I completely agree with you. I think almost more than football, this feels like actual, like you said, the man's relationship, as far as we know, and we know very little, but as far as we know, just imploded. And that sucks. That sucks for anybody. Of course, football is coming second right now for him. It just will. It would for anybody.
Yeah, of course. And then, hey, I heard we got some people shouting out the Oakland A's right now. Appreciate that. Nice little Billy Butler jersey. Got it for $15 when I was working for the Oakland A's. We had some unreal sales at the end of a season. It was like just trying to get rid of jerseys. So I got this one, like Billy Butler. Obviously had a good few seasons with the Royals, and then joined the A's.
Those are the best jerseys to have, though. The deep cuts.
Oh yeah.
The jerseys that, like, you just know, like, I'm gonna show up to the arena and I might be the only person wearing this thing.
Oh man, Billy Butler was such hot garbage for the A's. But keeping it going on the Aaron Rodgers talk. Where do you think he's going? Because that's the big question here is I feel like that's where there is a little part of Aaron Rodgers that even though he's emotional, even though he's explaining himself, I switch every day. And I think he's making it dramatic a little bit. And I think he likes that. There is a little part of him. I think he is pretty forthcoming. I think we can appreciate his stance during COVID. And then also, too, I know I mentioned that. He mentioned COVID. So this was his full explanation. I don't have a lot of feelings. I do have a lot of feelings of remorse for my loved ones when it relates to the COVID conversation. I didn't realize the type of shrapnel they'd be taking to those people. I'm truly sorry. I think that's a fine apology. I know there's so many people that might be jumping in here and they're just like, don't apologize for anything. I think you can apologize, not saying that he's wrong.
Oh, no.
And that his stance was wrong. It's just, I apologize that you were in the line of fire here.
Yeah.
But here, it's Packers, Niners, Broncos, Saints. Where do you think he's going?
Truly, look, I don't think he's going to retire, even though that's the overall sentiment right now is, he might hang it up. Look, he just had, Brady's gone, Big Ben's gone. A lot of these kind of powerhouse places are a little weaker. I think, like I said, all this gratitude stuff, I feel like has a lot to do with things off the field. And I mean, I'm sure you've been through a breakup, John. I've been through a breakup. Once you get over the kind of initial, like, this, dude, you want to dive into like whatever your work is, whatever your hobbies are, friends, whatever. So I think he's actually going to, really, really be about football. My betting odds is he stays with the Packers. It kind of feels like
after yesterday, that's what I felt like.
Yeah, like the drama we had a year ago between Rodgers and the Packers kind of feels like that's all done. Like, it feels like that's over. I don't know. That's kind of how I feel on it.
I mean, that's what's a tough thing for us here, because like we don't have a relationship with Rodgers camp at all, or Rodgers at all. Like I don't know anybody at the Packers, so I don't know if this is like a. Sometimes you have. This is a tough breakup with Shailene Woodley. Obviously, it seems like there's admiration there, respect there.
Yeah.
And who knows, that could happen with the Packers too. Like we've had breakups where it's like, I do respect you. And I appreciated the time. I learned a lot, and I will definitely always show you love. And I want to continue to be friends. I know that doesn't really work out a lot of the time, but who knows?
Tell me more, John.
That could be what's happening here. But I mean, Packers are making big moves. I think their new quarterback coach hire. I think that was a good sign there. Devontae Adams could be very interesting to see what ends up happening there.
Yeah.
They have Aaron Jones for another couple seasons.
Yeah, because they extended him, I think, last offseason.
Yeah. So, it's still enticing.
Salary cap wise, the Packers are in a tough spot. Going into this morning, they were in the second worst salary cap position in the NFL. The worst being the Saints, and they're really, really bad. However, there's always the financial moves that these teams can make, and the Packers have started it. So literally 33 minutes ago, Field Yates tweeted out, the Packers have created $10.892 million in 2022 cap space by restructuring the contract of nose tackle Kenny Clark. And he goes on to say exactly what they did to do that. But so they woke up this morning and started making moves and obviously this has obviously been being done for a few days, but no.
Well, there's a part of them too, where they want to stay in the news.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you make a call to try to figure out your salary cap, it's right after Aaron Rodgers has a bombshell episode with Pat McAfee.
Yeah.
Keep the conversation going. That's what they want.
Yeah. Well, and also Aaron Rodgers has a salary cap hit of $46 million to the Packers this year. You do not want to look. Okay, teams will. We've seen in recent years teams willing to trade these quarterbacks with the massive cap hits and take a 1-year just gut punch. Carson Wentz in the Philadelphia Eagles, for example. But you do not want to deal a guy and have him still counting $46 million against your cap. That is as bad as it gets. So they, I guarantee, are going to do anything and everything they can do to get Rodgers back in the door. But Devontae Adams really is the question mark, though, because
you got to think where he goes, Rodgers goes, or basically vice versa. Where Rodgers goes, Devontae Adams will go.
Well, but so also, does he want to, without Rodgers, specifically telling him, "Hey, I got 3 more years left in me, and I'm gonna be with the Pack." Devontae Adams probably, you want to get that guaranteed money, but at the same time, does he want to sign a 5-year deal with the Packers? Probably not. Maybe this is one of those weird situations where he actually might welcome the franchise tag. Because the franchise tag would pay him like $20 million this year, all guaranteed money, but he'd be running the risk of hurting himself and losing out on a bigger contract.
Dude, that's the thing, too. The Green Bay Packers, legendary organization, they don't lose.
No.
They are not willing to get rid of Aaron Rodgers and then say, we're going to rebuild for a little bit. We got to find backup quarterback. We got a few different pieces. No, they win. That's it.
It's title town.
Yeah, exactly. So you had Brett Favre, and then you were able to move right to Aaron Rodgers. They don't take a back seat, ever.
No.
I mean, when's the last time? I would be interested to know when's the last time they had a losing season.
Good question.
Or the last time they were just not competitive much at all. I mean, they just win ball games. So I also don't see Rodgers going to the Bucs. I don't think that's happening.
It's not his style.
No, not at all. I don't think you want to do that too. Because a lot of these guys think about legacy, whether Aaron Rodgers wants to admit it or not. Nobody wants to follow Tom Brady and then inherit that team and that offense and then not have success.
Yeah. Well, I think the Kobe Bryant thing, the Dirk Nowitzki thing is so much more enticing. To spend your whole career with one team, bring a championship to that city. I feel like that's what, deep down, that's what every athlete really wants.
You really think that's what they want?
I think so. I mean, the LeBron James.
Not anymore.
Exactly. It's changed, but I still think there are kind of those you could almost even call it like old soul, athlete types that still feel that way.
That's probably like a bunch of parents out there, like your parents, and then I know my dad would be like, "I just don't get it anymore. These guys are just all about
no
themselves
commitment
and just money." Sorry, Dad. I know that's a bad impression of you, man. But like, dude, we got the free agency era.
Oh yeah,
these guys want to make
player
money.
empowerment. Yeah.
So I mean, everyone always
and they
want
to team up with other people.
Of course. And then everyone's saying like, "Oh, there's no loyalty anymore." Dude, there's no loyalty from the team to the player. Why would the player have the loyalty to the team anymore? And also, like, make your money. With a sport like football, to see the longevity of people like Tom Brady is unheard of. It's crazy. Like, people don't last more than usually a couple years in the NFL. So if you have a chance to make your money, get your money. Do it. Obviously, more money, more problems. But hey, you're going to be able to buy something real nice. All right. Also, too, Russell Wilson potentially on the move.
Yeah.
The guy that should not have been in the Pro Bowl.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, it just wasn't like – look, he has put up incredible year after incredible year. Dude, last year just wasn't that good.
No, it wasn't good at all. I mean, you can tell, like, I mean, obviously the Pro Bowl's garbage. And we're going to tell you in just a little bit, too, how we can improve All-Star games across the board. I'll give you some of my top All-Star games as well. But, I mean, he shouldn't have been out there. But still, like, Russell Wilson's a solid quarterback. And I think a lot of teams would love to add him because he's a good leader. He's got his good head on his shoulders. He's obviously extremely talented. And it sounds like right now he's denying wanting to be traded. But there's no doubt in his mind that he is 1 foot out the door in Seattle.
Because, that team is a shell of what they used to be. I mean, I just read an article yesterday talking about, like, hey, who are players who could potentially – it's going to surprise people that they shouldn't be surprised when they get cut this offseason. And leading the list was Bobby Wagner. Because even though he's an incredible inside linebacker, he's just a player of a bygone era, you could say, of that Seattle team.
The Legion of Boom.
Exactly. Like,
fun time for them, but you can only be so nostalgic for so long.
And it's just they got to make money moves. But so obviously this will be the second straight offseason that we will have Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and their situations dominating the conversation. However, I personally do not believe that Russell Wilson will get traded because I don't think Pete Carroll wants anything to do with a rebuilding of that team. If that was what they thought was going to happen, I feel like Pete Carroll would have retired. He also doesn't have quite the as large of a cap hit as Aaron Rodgers, but it's still, if they trade him, he will still count this year for $26 million against their cap. However, this is the one thing, and this is where I will, put the little asterisk. The reason he could get traded, there are a number of teams right now in the NFL that desperately want to compete, but they don't have a quarterback. You have the Buccaneers, the Niners, we've already mentioned them, the Broncos, the Eagles, I almost said Redskins. Eagles. There's a lot of talk because the Eagles have 3 first-round draft picks, and they aren't necessarily committed to
You think they would
Hurts.
get rid of Hurts?
Yeah. Hurts is...
Dude, I don't know. I feel like Hurts just had a solid end to the season that you got to give him...
But it was a roller coaster. That's the only problem.
I just feel like that would be just way too much of a short leash.
Well, but this is also the what helps it out is the fact that of all these teams I'm mentioning, because also, so I'll add on to that list, the Steelers and Commanders. So weird not saying Redskins.
The Washington Commies, ladies and gentlemen.
The Washington Commies. So all of these teams have really, really good rosters, but don't have a competent quarterback. The actual best quarterback of that grouping is Jalen Hurts, to where if you did want to make a big-time upgrade and say, we want to go try and compete for a Super Bowl this year, if you were able to go in and call up the Seahawks and say, hey, we'll give you 2 first-round draft picks, Jalen Hurts, and maybe another young player, and maybe the Seahawks go, yeah, let's start this rebuild. Maybe even they say all 3 first-round draft picks and Jalen Hurts for Russell Wilson and a 3rd-round pick.
But we also know there's no going to be no interdivision trade. It's like Seahawks and Niners. There's no way, no chance that happens. Another quarterback too that I think has a chance for another big breakout season chance to make some money. Someone that is actually legit and doesn't get enough love, Derek Carr.
Oh, yeah, he's extension eligible this offseason.
Derek Carr is legit. And I think people were able to see that, too. They got a nice little receiving core, too. Like, obviously, it's a bummer to see someone like Henry Ruggs, that situation
Really
happen,
sad.
because they had a pretty explosive offense, and it was a lot of fun. Then you had Josh Jacobs in the backfield. I'm trying to find this with, I think, Pro Football Focus. They tried saying, like, some trade that could happen. And anytime someone throws out a trade that involves a lot of draft picks for the Raiders, you're insane. The Raiders are the worst at drafting in the NFL. They got, or at very least, they're bottom 5.
I was going to say, I will make the argument the Arizona Cardinals are the worst at drafting, but when we get closer to the draft day,
remember the Khalil Mack situation? Where it's like, you needed someone that
drafting.
Oh my gosh. It was literally when you trade such an incredible player like that.
Oh, you're
and you
talking
get draft picks back. And what did they do? Just literally go through the list of Raiders draft picks.
What's
and
really
it's going to make
sad
you want to
about that
throw
one,
up everywhere.
What was really terrible about that is, so they get, obviously, they trade away Khalil Mack, and they obviously have a terrible year. And so they then have a very high draft pick. I believe it was the 4th overall. And they picked Clelin Ferrell out of Clemson when
these
Josh
people are
Allen
high.
was on the board. If they would have just taken Josh Allen, nobody would, because Josh Allen, and I'm not talking quarterback Josh Allen, sorry, I'm talking defensive end for the Jaguars. If they would have picked him with that same pick, nobody would even worry about the Khalil Mack thing because they would have knocked that draft pick out of the park. But no, so it's Raiders are not the most competent organization, you could say.
No,
as we have learned.
No, but that's what's going to be interesting with this draft is seeing what teams are going to do.
I love.
Are you going to be
Draft
moving up and stuff? Because that's why you're going to see this crazy quarterback carousel throughout this entire offseason, and it's going to be a blast. Buckle up, because there is no quarterback that is super enticing in this draft at all. No one's trying to move up to just get one of those quarterbacks. You just have a ton of quarterbacks that are available that you can try to get through trade or free agency, and that's why these teams are going bonkers.
Yeah.
And then another quarterback that is going to be in the conversation that I don't think should be in the conversation is Mr. Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
I have no idea what in the hell the NFL is doing with this investigation. I mean, that's what I don't understand with the NFL is you have all this domestic violence stuff and these sexual assault, and then there was over 20 sexual assault allegations against Deshaun Watson, and we still haven't heard anything about it. And then also, you have an investigation into the Washington Commies now. Used to be the Washington football team, and nothing happened with Dan Snyder. And then you know what? They opened up another one, and you know who hired the legal team to look through it? Dan Snyder. You think that guy's going to be held accountable? That's what I don't understand here. Deshaun Watson, if he gets a job before this is figured out, this is an absolute sham.
I don't think he will. And I think that's going to be the big holdover because everything that I've seen is that the Houston Texans have not dropped their asking price for Deshaun Watson, which the starting point is 3 first-round draft picks. That's kind of become the standard for if you're trading for a franchise quarterback who's in their prime still, because obviously it was 2 first-round draft picks and Jared Goff last offseason for Matt Stafford, but Matt Stafford was in his mid-30s, 33, 34,
You think that trade worked out?
It was all right.
Pretty good.
It worked out fine. So Mike Gannetti, so he is Spotrac. If you've ever seen Spotrac, they do a really, really good website on basically just all sports contracts. So he goes on ESPN's The Bench the other day, and what he said really, really intrigued me. He said, look, the Watson trade, the Tunsil trade, and probably the Brandon Cooks trade kind of look inevitable right now. So this guy, all he does all day is just study the, sports contracts in here in America.
Dude, just a brainiac. Sounds like some of my friends that work in finance.
Oh yeah.
I did. If I thought about long division again, I'd jump off the nearest cliff.
Yeah. And so this guy's only real his North Star, the way he makes all decisions is he just goes off of financially what makes sense. And so really, he's just looking at the financials of the Houston Texans situation and saying, look, these are guys who are just way too expensive for what the team is right now. They need to rebuild. They need to get their finances in order. And so, frankly, like, he's just like, these trades are probably going to happen, which, holy crap, Laramie Tunsil, if he's available by trade, the Cincinnati Bengals needed to call them yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's a great left tackle.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
But it's...
Dude, what another franchise that has made some stupid decisions with trades. I mean...
Yeah, but that's really Bill O'Brien.
Like, DeAndre Hopkins, a D-Hop trade.
Awful.
That was awful. Obviously, they ended up losing J.J. Watt. I hope that he's healthy and then he's able to have a good year with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
But they have made a lot of moves which just don't make sense.
Yeah, no, so Bill O'Brien comes out of the whole Bill Belichick tree and whatnot. So he saw what Bill Belichick's done with the Patriots, where Bill was head coach and general manager. And of course, he's like, yeah, I can do that. Because what people forget is Bill O'Brien really was a good head coach for the Texans. They were really good during the stretch when he was their coach, and half the time they didn't even have a quarterback. He was their coach for a few years before they got Deshawn Watson, and they still competed in playoff games. But they were a good team. It was when he took over general manager duties, which he didn't always have. As soon as he took over that, he just started making the most insane moves, including the trade to even get Laramie Tunsil. Just crazy dumb stuff. The guy was terrible at talent management.
And then another few pieces of news. Obviously, Brian Flores, the guy that basically has called multiple teams and the entire NFL racist.
Yep.
And saying the only reason he hasn't gotten a head coaching job is because there's racism running rampant in the NFL. So he got picked up by the Steelers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be a good fit for him.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And I think that's a great pickup. Obviously, they're in a little bit of transition themselves, but he was the senior linebackers coach? Is that what they're calling him?
He'll be their linebackers coach.
Like senior defensive assistant or something like that. That was what they were calling it. But dude shot himself in the foot. There's absolutely no reason why he shouldn't be a head coach in the NFL. But if you're going to call teams racist, there's no way they're going to hire you.
He's currently suing all 32 NFL teams, including the Steelers.
Could you imagine telling a girl, I hate you, and I think there's something just innately wrong with you, but I think we should be together? That's literally what he just told NFL teams.
You're a terrible person. Let's make out.
Yeah. And let's be together for a long time. And buy me a lot of things, please.
Yeah.
And let me make the choices. It's like, what? You want to start and jump into an abusive relationship like that?
Oh,
See,
yeah.
That's why you had the Giants and the Broncos and all these teams come out right away, and they're like, that ain't happening.
Because, like, look, he should probably be the head coach of the Houston Texans today. It shouldn't be Lovie Smith. Like, Lovie Smith had multiple opportunities, failed in all of them. Lovie Smith was most recently a college head coach, and his teams lost in college. Like, I truly kind of don't know what the Texans are doing. It's such a horrible job managing a franchise.
Well, I think he would have gotten hired.
And that's the problem.
He would have, if he didn't come out with this lawsuit, he got the worst legal advice of all time.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he would be the Texans head coach. And then there was some news that came out that said, there was like a separation agreement presented by the team owner, Stephen Ross, to Brian Flores.
Oh,
this is what Flores told Brian Gumbel on HBO's Real Sports, and this is what his legal team had to say. By not signing the separation agreement, Flores left millions of dollars on the table, said John Elferkos, however you say that guy's last name, that buffoon, one of the legal people, the legal team for Flores, one of Flores' attorneys, but not signing also granted him the freedom to talk about his treatment in Miami. Once again, he got fired by a black GM, and this is like, literally, if he wants to go down as the Colin Kaepernick of the NFL, do it. Sure, I hope it works out in Pittsburgh, and I hope there's somebody that talks to him and says, this is not helping anyone.
Yeah.
And also, the Steelers got to know, they just dealt with Antonio Brown for many seasons. A lot of drama there. Coaching drama. That's what you guys are looking for. Obviously, you got some guys that can handle that.
Mike Tomlin's great at doing it. So maybe he knows how to take these special personalities and coach them and coerce them into doing what he needs them to do. Who knows? Maybe Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are Steelers are the godfathers of the Rooney Rule. So
that's true.
Maybe this is the perfect spot for Flores to end up.
And then there's last piece of news here with the NFL is
the best thing that happened this week.
This is absolutely incredible. So agents representing 150 draft prospects are organizing a boycott of all testing, all of it, on-field workouts and interviews next month's NFL scouting combine if the heavy bubble restrictions aren't changed.
Wait, I think you missed a headline then,
and
John.
then you got the new update to that. So that came out just a few days ago, and that was from Adam Schefter. And then what's the new news?
So I'm pretty sure I heard. Let me double check this, but I'm pretty sure I heard that the NFL is already backing down on this, that they are going to lift the bubble restrictions. So, yeah, amid talks of player boycotts, NFL scouting combine and men's events, COVID-19 policies and procedures. I'm trying to find exactly what it... So, okay.
So we're about to throw that tweet up there for everybody watching. Also, everybody listen to. Appreciate you guys. We love being back. So that's the Ian Rappaport tweet there. And... obviously, I love Brady Quinn ended up responding to that too. Brady Quinn is based. I love that guy.
Oh, he's the man.
But there's
love Brady Quinn.
This doesn't make any. This just does not make any sense. And look at when you hold the line, you're able to make a difference.
Yeah,
and it's agents coming out and speaking too. It's like we're representing these guys, so it's not. Hey, we're in the Olympics and then we need our Olympians to speak up. Mm-hmm. Or we're in a Leah Thomas situation and we need the female teammates to speak up. No, you have the agents and people of influence representing these people, which should happen, just like you need teachers and school board members and people representing kids. Like, you need these people of influence to speak up and say, this ain't happening. And it sounds like it's working.
Yeah, no, it's totally working because, the NFL... obviously, the combine is coming up. It's for, they invite about 300 of the best college athletes who are then going to be going to trying to get drafted into the NFL. And they put them through all sorts of tests and whatnot. So the NFL comes out last week and they say, hey, the combine is going to be a bubble. And what we mean by bubble is essentially every player coming in can bring one person with them. And so immediately, that's why these agents and players were like, wait, what? No, we can't do that. We have an entire team of trainers and medical experts and whatnot that will be coming with me. Like, this is craziness. I can't bring just one person. I need to bring my team in with me, like my people who are going to be helping me do my best in the combine, because players can really change their draft stock at the combine. Yep. So it's a big deal. And so, yeah, like you said, 150 of these players come out and say, no, we will not be
This isn't meeting up with a few buddies who could play 7-on-7 on a Saturday afternoon. This is changing kids' lives.
100%.
And then also, dude, we're about to go into March of 2022. And you're telling me you still want to do a bubble?
Yeah. And this is what's craziness. Because it's like, wait, NFL, you're going to do a bubble for the combine, but you just hosted 70,000 people at the Super Bowl? Not in a bubble? Like, it's just like you have to be crazy to believe all this stuff. So, and this is why it's so funny too, because all these outside of like actual NFL games stuff over the years has become very monetized for the NFL. Like I said, the draft, everyone loves the draft. People watch the draft. The combine is televised to where they have sold ad space against that. That ad space was sold months ago, guaranteed. So when 150 of these players stand up and say, no, we're not going to do it, that's why the NFL so swiftly was like, okay, we're going to change this. We hear you, we're going to help you out, because they messed with their money.
What the hell are they thinking? Like, it comes down to these conversations like, does this have anything to do with science? No.
None.
Does this have anything to do with data? No. Like, why are leagues and teams and organizations still posturing themselves in this way that's like, oh my gosh, I still can't believe it. We're not in the middle of a pandemic.
No.
Okay? We're not. You've had obviously the CDC and the WHO have said some pretty asinine things over the years, but there's data and real science out there that you don't need these guys to be in some sort of bubble to stay safe. It doesn't make any sense at all. And probably if we're talking about health and wellness, this does not put them in a better position to stay healthy.
No.
And succeed at all. They need the medical team around them. They need their agents. They need everybody to make sure they're in the right position to succeed at the scouting combine. 100%. But you love to see it.
Love to see it.
You absolutely love to see it. Know what you don't like to see is, holy crap, the dunk contest of the NBA was so garbage. Obviously,
Yeah, so
Jalen
mid.
Green's got bunnies. That guy can hoop. That guy can jump out of a gym. And I got to see him play in high school.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was amazing at Prolific Prep. Shout out to Joey Fuca. My brother's best friend was Jalen Green's coach out there. And, man, the guy is fun to watch. But when you have Cole Anthony, Jalen Green, Mr. Toppin from New York, shout out to producer Angelo back there, Bing Bong. How was there no Bing Bong involved in the dunk contest? But it was just whack. It was one of those where I watched for a hot second and then basically did a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and picked up my coat and left. Did you see that video?
Oh, so good.
Jalen Green tries doing between the legs dunk and misses, and then Kareem's just like, okay, that's probably enough for me. I'm gonna go to bed early.
I've seen enough.
It was, and then the 3-point contest, you have Karl Anthony Towns winning it. You just don't have your best players competing in these things.
No, mad respect to Karl Anthony Towns, but I am still, as a Suns fan, I'm still salty that Cam Johnson was not invited to compete in the 3-point contest when he's shooting 43% from behind the arc.
He wasn't even invited?
Was not even invited. He literally Cam Johnson had the second highest 3-point percentage in the NBA. The only person who was in front of him this season was PJ Tucker, who the only reason he's in front of him is because he doesn't play that often.
Yeah, so he's got
minutes. So he's got a higher percentage. Cam Johnson is literally the best 3-point shooter in the NBA this season. We all know who the best 3-point shooter actually is. It's Steph Curry. We all know that.
That guy was unconscious.
But
that was we might as well just go.
Might as well just jump.
Yeah,
dive on in. It was the only, to me, until the fourth quarter gets good with the All-Star game. But the previous 3 quarters before that, the only thing that made it watchable was Steph Curry just going God mode on 3-point shots. It was absolutely crazy.
He broke the record for amount of threes, and I think he hit 16.
14.
14?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted 16. And he wanted to break the record for most points scored in an All-Star game, and he went cold. And obviously, I will always say that, Steph Curry in crunch time has not been as good as he probably should be. But to get outside of that, watching him play basketball is the most entertaining thing I think we will ever see in the history of basketball. There's a lot of really fun players that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Allen Iverson was a blast. I think he totally changed the game. I think that's what was great about the NBA 75.
Yeah.
Is talking about people like AI, who obviously definitely knows where the nearest donut shop is now. But during his playing days, he changed the game. It was fun. And then you have someone like, obviously, you got the Kobes, you got the MJs, you got the LeBrons, but someone that is just a ticket you have to buy is Steph Curry. And that's what, obviously, there's some people out there that don't like the wokeness of the NBA or the wokeness of sports or something like that. Just tune into a Warriors game. Please, just watch Steph Curry for a game or two. And I don't think we're ever going to find a better entertainer, because that guy, he shot from half court And I remember like Reggie Miller's there, and he's just like, shoot it. He gets the ball, and the guy was on fire. It was almost just like NBA Street, when you're on fire, and it's and it's almost like Steph could have shot from anywhere. It was going to go in. He shot it from half court. It's basically at the peak. That guy turns around and starts jogging to the other end of the floor. I don't think we're ever going to see an entertainer like Steph.
No, well, so I want to ask you something, John. So I actually had a buddy I was texting with the other day, and he is not as hyped on all the Steph Curry stuff as you. He's one
probably
of those,
just a Warriors hater.
No. Like, he's a little bit of a Steph hater, but he has been for a while.
Okay.
And he's got absurd reasons why he doesn't like Steph, for example. So, like, for example, he doesn't like the shimmy that Steph does, and I go, whatever. I like when players have some fun.
Well,
with
is he
it.
one of those old school guys that's just like, hey, like I want somebody just to hit a shot and run down the floor?
Not exactly, but so the thing he was bringing up the other day was, he's like, I think Steph Curry, because obviously he's clearly changed the game. He's like, I think the long-term effect is actually going to be bad for basketball because all these kids growing up, going to gyms and whatnot, they're all just taking three-point shots. They're not learning offensive fundamentals down underneath the basket. I don't know if I really have an opinion on that yet, but what do you think?
Dude, I just think that devalues the aspect of coaching. Like, if you got kids out here just hucking up NBA range in NBA or in elementary school, sure, do that during recess. But when you're on a team, your coaches should be teaching you fundamentals.
Yeah.
Like, when I'm going to coach, I know I'm going to end up coaching my kids someday. There's no way that kids are going to go out there and just start hucking up threes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kids are not going to be shooting three-pointers for a long time. When I'm coaching, it's like you talk about mid-range, like do a little DeMar DeRozan action here. Yeah. I think that's learn how to shoot like Klay Thompson. We'll be showing videos like that all day long, but I think people that have that response to Steph just totally underestimates the value of coaches. Well, that's all it comes down to.
And I think they're actually being really ignorant to Steph's game as a whole, because
thank you. Yes.
Well, like, look, he's not a one-trick pony. His brother Seth kind of is. His brother Seth really is more of just hits the three-point shots. Steph Curry doesn't get enough respect for his handles, because the guy, what he can do inside the arc. Absolute wizardry, just sometimes of just dribbling around people and eventually going up and making a layup with his left hand.
Yeah, just watch Chris Paul versus Steph Curry.
It's crazy.
Just cooking him on the on the baseline. And then also too, Steph Curry off the ball. I'm really glad that Reggie Miller was bringing that up during the broadcast. No one has been better off the ball in the last generation.
Oh my gosh, the way he gets around screens. His bend is crazy.
Because obviously there's been people like Kyle Korver was really good at that.
Yeah.
Reggie Miller was good at that. Ray Allen was good at that. And obviously someone like Klay Thompson's been good. Like Klay Thompson doesn't really need to take a lot of dribbles. Like, I think he had that monstrous quarter, and the amount of dribbles he had was like under 10.
Well, he had like, what was it, 24 points, and he held the ball for less than 60 seconds.
Yeah. It's incredible. He's just, boom, it's just going off. But people like Steph, so obviously he was able to get the All-Star Game MVP. And, dude, the new format is great for the game because whoever wins, they're going to be sending like about $100,000 to a specific charity.
Something like that.
And, like, I think that's a cool aspect of the game. But for sure they're trying to flip-flop who's winning quarters. And trying to make it interesting. But it's still entertaining. Because obviously there's some times where it's just like they're spreading the Red Sea and Joel Embiid's able to just come in and just throw up a dunk. But the fourth quarter is always exciting. And I think they've done a good job with the game. So people that just don't know about the NBA All-Star Game, whoever's got the lead, you just add 24 points to their score, 24 in honor of Kobe Bryant, and it was the first year that they had the Kobe Bryant MVP award. And I think they were talking about it in the broadcast. Of course, a lot of these guys wanted to get the Kobe Bryant MVP award for the first time. And then you got that target score, and that's where you're going to go for. And so, but the question is, how do you improve all-star games? Because Josh Donaldson, one of my favorite A's of all time, he was a great third baseman.
Great.
And then we were able to bring up obviously Chapman. Matt Chapman's been good on defense. The offense has not been that solid. But this is what he had to say on Twitter. He said, baseball is the only legitimate all-star game in sports. You can't go easy when a guy throws 100. All the other sports besides hockey should stop having them. It's actually embarrassing to watch.
And he's not wrong. Because, like I said, the fourth quarter of the All-Star game was fun. But outside of Steph, the other three quarters were just embarrassing to watch. It's not fun. I don't think the other three quarters were that bad. See,
I know you didn't like them. But I think it's one of those where there's not going to be a lot of defense played. There's going to be deep threes. There's going to be some big dunks. Ja Morant literally looks like Flubber. I've said that before.
Yeah.
There's times where he jumps and him and Zach LaVine, and it's like, well, that was better dunks than we saw in the dunk contest. But I didn't really feel like the first three quarters, we know what we're going to get. And I feel like maybe – don't get me wrong, Brian. Don't take offense to this. Maybe you're expecting
much offense is taken right now.
Because we get really offended here at Turning Point USA. We get really triggered as well. I think you might be expecting too much out of those first three quarters.
Well, no. So I actually normally don't even watch the All-Star game because years ago I discovered this is just trash garbage that I don't need to put into my life. Because we've got the show. That's literally because we have the show is the only reason I tuned in this year to watch. But also, one thing that did annoy me, though, it's a catch-22 with what I'm saying. Because did you notice in the third quarter, all of a sudden, Giannis, because Giannis really wanted to win the MVP award. You could tell. And it was after Steph started going off. And it was Giannis, it was clear that he almost had no shot to win the MVP award. He all of a sudden started taking it serious way earlier than anybody else. And it really pissed off Devin Booker and DeJounte Murray from the Spurs. Because they had the ball, and they're just playing like how everybody's been playing for the whole game. And all of a sudden, Giannis comes up and just literally body checks Booker and steals the ball from him. And Booker's like, what just happened? And Giannis goes down and slams and whatnot. And I was like, it goes to show, and I said this while I was watching, people talk about Giannis, and they always say the most likable player in the NBA. I do not like Giannis because he literally looks like a baby horse playing basketball who doesn't care if he hurts people. He could have hurt DeJounte Murray or Booker during the All-Star game, which is once again why I go, it's a terrible.
Look at this protective Suns fan.
Yeah, well, it's a terrible format.
He could have hurt my guy.
He could have.
He could have hurt
We're already
his
dealing
hand.
with a Chris Paul hand injury. No, because it's look, yes, it's boring, but also at the same time, do I want anybody getting injured?
No
chance. No, I don't. But it is fun that in the fourth quarter, once they actually start playing defense. Like I said, the fourth quarter is fun. If the entire game was like that, it would be the best all-star game in sports.
This is why we look at the dunk contest, and obviously there's people like Zach LaVine. I want to see him in there again. Ja Morant.
Ja.
Also, LeBron James, the whole GOAT conversation,
Over.
I think is just done. Because he has never competed in the slam dunk competition. Ever. How? Not one time did he compete in the slam dunk competition. And, we look back at some of the amazing MJ footage.
Mm-hmm.
Just jumping from the free throw line. Just rocking the baby. It's look at the reception for MJ. When he rolled into that arena in Cleveland, it was a showstopper. LeBron is never, ever going to have that. There was a bigger cheer for MJ in Cleveland than there was for LeBron. That
crowd went nuts.
And that crowd loves LeBron.
Oh, yeah.
And what a great ending to the All-Star game, too. That turnaround, I thought that was poetic. That was perfect. But something I know that some guys in the production room have brought up, I know I've talked to Brock Belcher. You probably saw him with the Super Bowl special. foul mouth Brock Belcher. We'll get that figured out. Also, yeah, avid Drake fan. Talking about one-on-one king of the court.
That would be incredible.
Get rid of the skills challenge, which I think is just become kind of a joke.
Actually, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you here. I actually kind of think the skills challenge, like, at least they're trying to improve it. That's where, like, I will give them credit. You could get rid of it, though, and you're not going to catch me
watching
crying.
the NBA All-Star Weekend and being like, man, I can't wait for the skills challenge. Man, that's going to be incredible.
One thing the skills challenge did show, though, holy crap, are those young Cavs just so talented.
Man,
but go on.
They're fun. But I think you do one-on-one king of the court, and it's one of those where I know some people brought up, like, well, do you do, like, the 5 dribble rule, or is it winners or losers? I think you go to probably 7.
Oh, I was going to say 11, but 7.
7, or maybe 7, like the first few rounds, and then let them do as many dribbles as they want, but have like a 15-second shot clock. 12 to 15-second shot clock, and then think about some of the matchups where you have like a Giannis against Steph.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you imagine Embiid versus Steph, like, it would be really interesting. Would you do makers takers, or is it just?
No, I think it would be losers. Actually, no, I'd go winners. I think it'd be winners. I think you just flip a coin or something. Whoever's got the ball, and then James Harden's gonna be, dude, you got to play defense, bro. Like, if you lose that coin toss right off the bat, you got to be able to stop these guys. A few other things I have heard from people saying, maybe you got to hit a 2-point shot, a couple 2-point shots, and a 3-point shot. But I think I kind of like, fastest to 7, 12 to 15-second shot clock. You got what you got. And that would be a good time to see some of those matchups.
There'd be pride involved. Like, guys would want to win that game.
And then just play for charity again. Yeah. Do another like $100,000 for whatever charity that you want. And that would be entertaining.
Yeah.
But I agree with Josh Donaldson that the MLB All-Star Game is the best All-Star game. And it's the best All-Star weekend. Because I think some people get into this whole, like, well, All-Star games. But there's the whole weekend. Yeah. What's going to entice you to watch? The Home Run Derby is still great. Obviously, I think Shohei Ohtani was kind of a flop last year. But Pete Alonso, a lot of fun. You think about the Ken Griffey Jr.'s out there. Some of the big hitters, you're going to tune in to that as well. And then people like Yoenis Cespedes. Thank you so much, producer Dom, back there, because Yoenis Cespedes is watching batting practice. I got to work for the A's for a season, and watching that guy do batting practice was unbelievable. Him and Mike Trout are probably a couple of my favorite batting practices I've ever seen. But you have the best players competing in that. And then in the All-Star game, they've changed it up a little bit. It's not the winner of the All-Star game doesn't get home field advantage in the World Series, but they were playing for something. And just think about that. They're rotating pitchers in every single time.
Yeah.
And they want to look good.
Oh, yeah. Because exactly, if you don't give them your best pitch, those guys will take you a yard.
Yeah.
Like, they don't want to get tuned up.
Especially, too, when you're headed into the second half of the season. They're like, this can make or break your ego, your pride, and the motivation for the second half of the season.
Yeah.
So I think it's the best one. The NHL All-Star Game, I would say that's an All-Star Weekend is number 2 for me. I know we might have some people out there watching, like, I haven't even watched an NHL game, or I've never been to one. The best game you can watch live is an NHL game. It's a lot of fun. And then now they've started to do a 3-on-3 round robin. And then also, too, they do like a speed skating challenge, which is a lot of fun. They have a cool skills challenge as well. Just watching people handle the puck.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. I think they do a good job. They usually have a pretty good performance as well. Some sort of like musical artist or something. Like the whole weekend. And I was actually a part of one. I was able to be the host of the skills challenge.
That's so
awesome. When I was in San Jose a few years ago, and that was fantastic. Did a little bit of stuff during the NHL All-Star Game, but it's fun. But you got things like the Pro Bowl, There was, I think, NFL memes came out with it, and they said, you know what? I say we do away with the Pro Bowl game. And the whole weekend, I think, is trash too. Like QB challenge isn't fun anymore. If the best thing out of a Pro Bowl is dodgeball, you've got a problem.
Yeah.
But NFL memes came out and said the 2 worst teams in the NFL play each other, and the winner of that gets the number 1 pick in the draft.
Be just absolute anarchy. I can't. It'd be so funny to watch because I don't know, like these teams, would they want to play harder? I don't know, because it's like, depending on the position, like maybe the quarterback is like, yo, if I win this game and we get the first overall pick, they're gonna draft my replacement. Like there's still a lot of plot holes in that one. But
there's plot holes there, but also too, like, guys could be playing for jobs again.
That's true.
You think about that. So if someone potentially is going to get replaced and they have a baller game, that might get them on a practice squad. That might get them a backup quarterback position. That might even just help out the longevity of their career. Because, I mean, there is an aspect of they would be playing for themselves, but it would be more about, there are some guys that might be becoming free agents.
Yeah.
Or the tail end of their career. So it's like, well, it seems like this is more about the team and the executives to try to make them look good than really help me out. But at least there would be competition. At least we'd actually see some real tackles.
I kind of think that we wouldn't see that much, because I really wonder how much these guys would want to compete. I really do. I don't know. I could be dead wrong on that one.
Man. Well, I think there's just a lot that needs to be done. People need to look to the MLB All-Star Game because they do a good job. But also, too, people aren't looking to the MLB right now because it's still in a lockout. And we're going to get into that. But also, too, we're going to start wrapping up here fairly soon. But we're going to start going into a little bit of overtime. We're going to start going on Instagram Live. If you're not following us already, it's at TPUSA Breakaway. We appreciate the support. It's been a lot of fun. We have some great guests we've been having on the show. Just had Jason Romano from Sports Spectrum on there. He worked at ESPN for about 20 years, did some work with Sunday NFL Countdown, Mike and Mike in the Morning, did some incredible stuff. Incredible man of faith. If you haven't checked out that podcast, make sure you do that. While you check out our podcast, subscribe, review, all that good stuff. We're on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble. Thank you so much. All right. So here, I know there's other little pieces of info we got from that All-Star weekend was LeBron. LeBron James. He's saying that going back to Cleveland's not out of the question. Great marketing. That's because he knew he's going to bring up some of these things, and people aren't going to stop talking about him.
Oh, yeah.
Just like us on Breakaway. I don't see him going back to Cleveland. I don't think it's going to be that enticing unless Bronny James ends up going to Cleveland. And what he did essentially was he kept himself in the conversation. He gave love to a place that absolutely adores him. The draft stock for Bronny James just skyrocketed to the moon.
Rose faster than Doge, dude.
Oh, man, I wish Doge would rise. Come on. But he did have an interesting comment, too, about Sam Presti, the Thunder GM. He said, wow, some guy that really knows how to evaluate talent. Just look, he picked up Giddey. He got KD, Russell Westbrook. He's known how to, evaluate talent. But does he know how to keep that team going and find success? No. So LeBron's already a bad GM himself.
I think Sam Presti's a great GM. I don't know what you're saying here.
He knows
KD
how to
walked
evaluate.
Away.
He knows how to evaluate talent, but what does he have to show for it?
Well, okay,
375 draft picks?
No. It's not Sam Presti's fault that Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook blew a 3-1 lead to the Warriors. That's not his fault. He put them they would go on, I believe, to beat LeBron in the playoffs, but we don't know that. So actually, I'm not even gonna go down that road. They're one win away from going to the finals again and playing against LeBron again. No, I don't put that on Sam Presti.
But how do you keep guys around? That's what it's about. Like, if it's basically you got guys that they were so close, right? That's what we're basically saying. They're
so close to winning, yeah.
So close to winning. Why do they dip?
Because it's Kevin Durant. Like, I know you've got your blinders on because it benefited your team, and if I was sitting in the same chair, I would think the same way. Like, oh yeah, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant wanted to leave Oklahoma City and go to a place where it was easy for him to win. And that's what he did. I don't fault him for it.
But I feel like there's got to be a
did.
sense, though. Like, obviously, KD did what was best for him. But I feel like if you're so close, like, I feel like as a GM, you'd have to, like. I think there's a reason why Sam Presti has not been in KD's mouth at all. Like, there's nobody out there like singing his praises. There's nobody,
LeBron,
other than LeBron. I mean, I think that's telling. Like, do you have James Harden bringing it up? Russell Westbrook, KD,
James Harden got traded by Sam Presti, so he's definitely not going to be.
Yeah, of course not. But I think it comes down to people like are going to sing Bob Myers' praises a lot more than they am Sam Presti, because I think those guys do a good job of enticing those people. Obviously, it's extremely enticing when you have a Warriors team that's got the best squad we've seen.
Oh yeah,
in decades.
Who's your guys' GM? I can't remember.
Bob Myers.
Bob Myers. Yeah, Bob Myers. Yeah, Bob Myers has done a really good job at hitting. I kind of think Bob Myers might be the only guy who has a better hit rate than Sam Presti does. Like, I mean, if we're really thinking about like teams who have drafted really, really good players and like and been able to like build teams out of nothing, Bob Myers probably number one. But no, I don't know. I think you're kind of smoking cuckoo crack over there. Like I think Sam Presti has done a great job.
Well, President Biden gave me a free crack pipe, so I've been absolutely hitting that, and it's a Warriors inspired crack pipe.
Give it a few years.
Just kidding, everyone. I'm just kidding.
All I'm saying is give it a few years, and I think Sam Presti will have it turned around. I really do. What he needs, though,
they have so many draft picks.
Yeah, and he's put himself in a great position to do exactly that. Basically, what he needs is the one.
Welcome to the 2025 NBA draft. The whole first round will be the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Well, like I said, it's like, you know, they're saying like Bronny is basically like a second round pick at best, and it's like, well, if you're Sam Presti, throw one of those around. But yeah.
Oh man, it's crazy. So he did a good job of just raising Bronny's stock, because basically it comes down to, I don't know if we mentioned that earlier, that like wherever Bronny goes, LeBron James is going to go.
Wants to play with his son.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense. And I think we're going to wrap it up with this, too. Before we get into a little Juwan Howard, we do want to let you know we are going to be going to Instagram Live. Tune in there, overtime. And shout out to Drew Hernandez, good friend of ours, brand new TPUSA contributor. He had a brand new show that launched yesterday, Frontlines. He had Kyle Rittenhouse on, and Kyle Rittenhouse, speaking of LeBron, said LeBron James will be getting a letter. LeBron James will probably get sued. And that's what happens when you talk about lemonheads and crap on a kid.
He called him a murderer, right?
I don't know if LeBron called him a murderer. Okay, I'm not sure. We'd have to check that. I know he just made fun of him crying on the stand. But we're going to wrap up with this, is Juwan Howard. Juwan Howard, the coach of the Michigan Wolverines, a team struggling big time, a team that is trying to make it into the NCAA tournament. Selection Sunday is, I think, a couple Sundays away now, maybe 2 or 3. I think March 13th. Yeah, March 13th is when we got Selection Sunday. But after this game against Wisconsin, that basically beat the brakes off of them towards the end of the game.
Yeah, beat them by 14. Like, I mean, that's a big lead in college.
Yeah, I mean, it's huge. And then what happened at the end of the game was Juwan Howard got in a scuffle with Greg Gard. So he is the assistant coach for Wisconsin. And, like, he was saying, hey, like, let's let us explain what's going on here. Like, this is why we called the timeout. You're pressing us at the end of the game. I got my third, fourth stringer guys in here. I'm going to call a timeout. We're going to advance the ball, and I'm going to put them in a position to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Juwan Howard's most memorable but not brightest moments are always about timeouts?
Always.
Why is that always what's happening? And basically what Juwan Howard said is, I'll remember that. Juwan Howard's still rocking a mask there in that handshake line afterwards. And Coach Garb is going to be like, no, whoa. You're not just going to say that and walk by. Also, that's the competitive nature of sports.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to just say like a backhanded comment like that and then just keep walking. And there's so many people out there. It's like, whoa, he started it. He grabbed him. I think it was one of those where it's just like, hey, let me explain this to you. First off, don't talk to me like that. Second off, here's why we called that timeout. And then Juwan Howard had that finger in his face and then ended up throwing a punch. It was kind of more of like a open-handed punch, kind of a
little bit of a slap.
But still, it was a horrible example for his players.
How can you be a leader of young men if you are going to lose your cool after a game where it's not like the dude spit on your mom? He called a timeout, which he can do. Like all this crap that just gets me heated of like, yo, you play the game from the first whistle to the last whistle. Play the game. Anything that happens during that, like I hate the unwritten rules ideas. I cannot stand it. I don't care if it's baseball. I don't care if it's football. I don't care if it's basketball. Unwritten rules are dumb. You play to win the game. Herm Edwards should probably be fired. But no, like, yeah, it's like Greg Gard called a timeout, and Juwan Howard loses his mind over it. No, be a leader.
Yeah, and then here too is like there needed to be consequences. What I said right off the bat is he needs to be suspended indefinitely. Also, this is not the first little incident that Juwan Howard's been in. Remember, this is not just something that just came out of the blue where he just lost his cool.
Yeah.
No, this has happened before. And what I ended up tweeting immediately, actually, I feel like Clay Travis and I are kind of like, we're together here. It's just like, all right, whatever you're thinking, I'm thinking too. I thought there would be something about race that came out. I was like, I hope this is not a conversation. But the world that we live in, there was going to be someone that said, or some sort of outlet, or maybe even Juwan Howard himself, that brought up race. I was like, I hope this doesn't happen, but Deadspin, holy smokes.
Leave it to Deadspin.
Deadspin, you guys put dead in Deadspin. These guys are donezo. No one enjoys their content. And what they came out and said, when it comes to Juwan Howard and Greg Gard, why is the black coach the only one suspended when the white coach started it? When you don't have a solid logical argument, you dumb it down to race. When you don't have a logical, sound argument, you dumb it down to race. There is absolutely no evidence behind any of this whatsoever. Juwan Howard explained himself, also didn't apologize. Greg Gard explained himself, and I think it was legitimate. And obviously you're going to get heated in the moment. But to make this about race, come on. Like, these are the kind of things that are ruining sports. I had a few people that had some things to say on Twitter when I mentioned this. And they're like, well, why would you bring this up? It seems like all you do is like try to talk about one side of race. The way we work in this world, we're going to talk about Brian Flores. We're going to talk about Juwan Howard. We want to fight real racism. These two situations, these aren't racism. Stop dumbing things down to that. And the thing I get upset about is this is devaluing real racism.
Yes.
When you keep trying to dumb things down to that, I think it's a slap in the face to people decades ago that have actually really dealt with that, and people that have broke barriers in sports and had to deal with some crazy stuff, some evil racism, that there's racism going on in the world. But if we're going to bring up fake stuff like this just to try to fit your woke agenda, it's not helping anyone. It's not helping the black community. It's not helping the white community. It's not helping American sports as a whole. But I know Tom Izzo had a great response, but we are going to talk about that on IG Live. We're not going to get into that too much because there's been a little talk about should they eliminate the post-game handshake line in total. We're going to talk about that on IG Live, but basically it comes down to Juwan Howard got suspended for 5 games, which is the rest of the season. I think it was the right call. Is he going to get fired? I wouldn't be surprised, but he is a Michigan legend.
Yeah.
You got to remember that. So there's a lot of people that do enjoy him. He was part of the Fab Five. And Guard actually got fined $10,000. And Wisconsin came out and said, I know their AD, Chris McIntosh, was like, let me sign on the dotted line.
We'll pay the bill.
Yeah, let me put that in the checkbook. And that was the fine from the Big Ten. I thought that was a joke. But we're going to get into a little bit more of college basketball. Because I threw some bets down and I worked out pretty good. We'll talk about Phil Mickelson on IG Live. We're going to go into overtime. A lot of other great stuff, but this has been an awesome show. Any final words, Bryan Farnsworth?
Hey, if you want to be tuning in to our IG Live, like John said, we're going to be going over, just stuff that we couldn't cover here. A little more, maybe lead up to March Madness. Obviously, the Phil Mickelson drama, and even touch a little bit on how bad the Winter Olympics were.
Final few things for you. Breakaway featuring Jason Romano from Sports Spectrum. You got to make sure you check that out. Another great Sunday conversation talking about faith, sports media, his time at ESPN, talking about forgiveness. Drew Hernandez, brand new show. Congratulations again, Drew. Frontlines was fantastic. LeBron James, watch out. Kyle Rittenhouse coming for you. And finally, our good friend, the gal that does not know a lot about sports, but she loves putting the sports recap in politics. Alex Clark, happy birthday.
Happy birthday,
What
Alex.
a gal. The pop culture queen, the chicken nugget princess. I think she's in New York. She's going to a haunted hotel with her boyfriend.
Yeah, Nick Vrender, however you say his last name.
Nick Van Hoeven. All right. Have a great time, Alex Clark. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. Thank you for everybody giving a shout out to the Oakland A's. I can't wait for baseball to be back. Hopefully soon. I moved to Phoenix for a reason, baby. All right. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on Instagram at TeepUSA Breakaway. I appreciate and love y'all. Later.
Wade puts it out.